All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited about this session. It is a highly in-demand kind of content, and Michelle is a very in-demand person. So I'm very, very grateful that she's taking time this morning to talk about Creators for Change, which I know she'll explain a little bit. But to give you a little background, she does a lot around the UN sustainability goals, thinking about students being creators and very hands-on active learning. She presented similar content to this in a couple different places, especially over the last year that I can think of. And we had some of our collaborative members who really wanted to go to this session live at NC Ed Connect in January, but they were stuck with me instead. So I reached out to Michelle and said, hey, is there a way that we can get you to share this content with as many people who can get it as possible? So that is why we're here this morning. Michelle is currently working at Johnston County Schools as the Director of Digital Teaching and Learning. Am I correct?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay.
So instructional technology. So
Thank you.
yes.
Okay, I know all the words.
Yeah.
So, but Michelle does come from a library, and I know her through so many library things. And so I'm just really excited that she's bringing that library lens to this content. So Michelle is just a wonderful human. She's passionate about a lot of things, the ocean and sea turtles being among them. I'm guessing that will probably come up in this conversation, as well as her very sweet pup. She is an author. She has written The Possum Adventures. I knew it would blend in. The Possum Adventures of Duramax. So she has a very dynamic way of doing things and all encompassing. And I think you're going to see that. And the reason why I think this all applies, and the reason I'm telling you is not just to send some love to Michelle and one of my favorite people to learn from. But I think that she represents what's the best of libraries, which is the fact that we are thinking globally, acting globally, pulling in interests and passions. And really, it's the place where students get to apply those skills and connect the standards that they learn in so many different places in the school library. So I'm very excited about the way that she's going to be able to kind of pull those things together for us this morning and talk about, what does it mean to be a global learner in our school libraries. So welcome, everybody. I know some people are still hopping in here just now. So I just finished my introduction to Michelle. You haven't missed anything other than that. But I'm going to pass it along to you, Michelle, from here, and I'll monitor the chat. So if anybody has questions, things they want to pop in, you'll see you have a link to the slides there. Michelle just shared it again. So if you just joined us, you'll see that. But if you have anything else, Michelle, anything I'm missing?
I think you covered everything.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you for being here, and I'll be quiet and pass it on to you.
All right. So, hey, everyone. Good morning and welcome to Creators for Change, empowering global learners through the school library. So, again, as Molly said, my name is Michelle McNeil. I currently serve as the Executive Director of Instructional Technology for Johnston County. And I've also served as an elementary librarian and a high school librarian. Shout out to you middle school people, because I'm not brave enough for that. But also as the as the district media specialist for Harnett County Schools prior to transitioning into this role. So I do have a deep love of the library. And so thank you, Molly, for asking me to be here today, because this is a topic that I'm very passionate about. And for anyone who knows me, you know that it also incorporates several of my passions, maker spaces and STEM, and, sea turtles. And I believe in doing things to leave things better than what we find them. And that's why the sustainability goals are so important to me. So anyway, let's get started with today's session. To be fully transparent and demonstrate best practices in AI usage, I did create this presentation with the support of ChatGPT as a brainstorming tool. The content was reviewed and edited to ensure accuracy, clarity, and alignment with the purpose. So All right. Everybody's favorite, welcoming inclusion. I spy sustainability. So look around your space, or you can look in mine, and tell me how many things you see that connect to sustainability or one of the sustainable development goals, if you're familiar with them. Um, Write down the number that you see somewhere, because we are going to come back to this later. But if you will, share in the chat one item that you have found and how it relates. Oh, Molly, you're cheating. I'm just kidding.
I hope that it would help some folks. They're probably Googling it. Let's be real, Michelle.
They probably are. But yeah.
I have a yogurt cup near me that I'm going to recycle later. That's what's coming up to me.
There you go. There you go. I always have with me my refillable cup of some sort, so I need to probably put it closer to me because I'm sure I'm going to need it. And I don't know how many of your schools have added the water bottle filling stations. We have them here. I love those. I think it encourages that sustainability. So, all right, anybody have anything near them that they want to share? You can put it in the chat. Are you able to get in the chat? Okay, library books and coffee cup. I love it, Angie. Tell me more. Can you tell me why you chose library books and coffee cup?
Library books, so I don't keep buying more. And also supporting our local libraries and authors, and as a school librarian, I have piles and piles of public library books too. And then a coffee cup, it's a regular ceramic mug to keep refilling and not having to waste.
Good job. Good job. Heather, I love it. Open window and the lights off. I love that. Big water bottle, absolutely. Walking pad, I like that. Promoting wellness and healthy habits. That's great. I need one. I want one. Oh, granola bars and water for students, health and clean water. Okay. Consumerism. But in the middle of your book fair, you're also promoting quality education through books. So think about it that way, how you're promoting a quality education. So, all right. So let's go on. All right. The purpose of this session. So to start with, I'm going to start with a little history lesson. In 2015, a group of world leaders came together and made a big promise to work together to create a better world for everyone. So they created the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which includes 17 big goals called the SDGs, or the Sustainable Development Goals. And those goals tackle a lot of big challenges. So poverty, inequality, protecting the planet, and then trying to make sure no one gets left behind. And in 2015, I'm sure 2030 sounded very far off, but in 2025, it does not. So as a school librarian, you have such a unique opportunity to introduce students and staff to those SDGs and make a meaningful impact. So you guys all play such a vital role in the school community because you connect with nearly every student, every teacher, and then the greater community as well. So you can incorporate books and activities and lessons focused on the SDGs, and that gives you the power to spark curiosity, to encourage critical thinking and inspire action. So that helps students to see how their learning connects to the real world challenges and how they can make a difference. So the SDGs provide a meaningful framework to inspire students while promoting global awareness and supporting inquiry-based learning. So you can weave those into your library programs, your book selections, your collaborations with teachers, and help to empower students to explore those connections between economic growth, social well-being, environmental stability. So short story long, this session is going to explore practical ways that you can bring those SDGs into your school library and help you engage students and staff in meaningful conversations and actions that support a better future for all. All right, any questions so far? All right, so a few years ago, I read the book Follow the Moon Home. I know it's shocking, but it's a tale of one idea, 20 kids, and 100 sea turtles. It's by Felipe Cousteau and Deborah Hopkinson, and it tells the story of a community action project in South Carolina through a group of students, and it helped to create the Lights Out for Loggerheads campaign to reduce artificial light pollution that impacts sea turtles. So in the book, they outline creating a plan for change, and the students are encouraged to go into their neighborhoods and communities and find a problem that needs to be solved. So once they find that problem, they come back and they share their problems, and then they find one that they can tackle, and they create a plan, gathering information, figuring out what to do, and then taking action and putting their ideas into action. Once they put their ideas into action, they begin to tell the story of how and what they did or can do, or what the community can do to make a difference. And then once they're done, they reflect on it. So this is a good way to work with students and create that plan for change by using this framework. All right, so before today, how many of you had heard of the Sustainable Development Goals? Okay, so we have some that have not heard of them. I had not heard of them either. A friend of mine, Jessica Esposito, who is in the mountains, her and I did a session based around sea turtles and global problem solving, and a participant actually shared how our session connected to the Sustainable Development Goals. And that is how I learned about the Sustainable Development Goals. So this slide here, when you're going through, you'll get all these resources. They're in that link. This particular slide connects to each of the Sustainable Development Goals through that UN site. So if you click on Goal 1, it will take you to No Poverty, and so on. So, sorry. So you can see how it will take you to those different goals. And I actually have also added an idea for introducing the SDGs 2 others. Of course, I have a typo on there, but that's just to keep you alert at 9 o'clock in the morning. So use real and tangible actions. I mean, that is probably one of the biggest things. It can be used with your students or your teachers, and to take action with those sustainable development goals. There are choice boards that I actually found on Canva for each goal. So you could use those, or you could design your own. And then the next slide actually links you to the different activities that I have for each goal. So if you click on goal 1, no poverty, you would see a makerspace idea, the choice board, and then books towards that goal. And if you click on the home button, it'll take you back to that home page. So some of these I would use in my lessons with students. So when you click on that goal, like I said, goal 1, no poverty, I have a makerspace idea. Create a shoe from duct tape and cardboard and discuss needs versus wants. Well, I would connect that to a book, because, you know, librarians, that's what we do. So this would be the book that I would connect it to. I would probably have it out with my makerspace, and just have a sign up where students could go around and they could do those makerspaces. The choice board is more of a usually do at home type of thing that students could do. Not all of them could do it, but there are some, and then they could add in some things that they think of, or teachers could add in to the empty spots, things that they could think of that they could do with their class. So, and then the next one has books that I came up with, or that with the help of my my friend ChatGPT, we came up with some books that went along with that goal. Yeah, Those Shoes is a popular book, Molly, you're right. And so that's a really good one. I tried to get books that were easily accessible. So then you've got a curated list of books as well to go with each goal. Okay, I'm going to go back home. All right. And so that curated book of lists is a link to ones that were curated by different people. So since 2019, the UN has created a book club. And the book list for the book club encourages children to understand and embrace those principles of sustainable development goals. So there's also an International Board of Books for Young People, the IBBY, that have partnered with the International Publishers Association in that SDG Book Club project. So the selections of books related to each SDG are in the 6 official UN languages. So that includes Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, and even Spanish. So you also have that you can use as well. So on their blog, the UN SDG Book Club encourages groups around the world to share information about the local book club initiatives. So anyway, that is what that particular one is about. All right, let's see. So Molly, is it okay to give them a few minutes to look at the SDGs, and just kind of look around the different slides and the activities, or should we wait until later in the thing?
Let's do it. I think we just tell people we're pausing if you're watching the recording, just do the same thing that we are doing, right? So take a minute or two just to kind of click around. I'm sure that's exactly what folks are doing already. So
Yes.
the slide that Michelle is pointing at is in her slide deck. So if you don't have that open, it should be in the chat, and I'll drop it in there one more time. But that cool, all the squares are on with this dinosaur one that she's showing. If you click on each one, it will jump to different slides in the slide deck. So you want to do like a minute or two to let folks do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Welcome, Stephanie. Just know that we're taking a minute to look at this specific slide. So you're joining during like a quiet moment. But we're here. We're doing stuff, I promise.
Thank you.
And Molly, did you set a timer or am I keeping track?
Nope, I was looking at the thing. We got about 20 more seconds for about 2 minutes to be up.
Perfect. Oh, I need to write that down. I haven't heard of that book. Yes, A Long Walk to Water is a very good one. Oh, I love that, Jill. I love that. So if y'all are in the chat, if you're not, so people are sharing some things that around these sustainability goals. Sorry, I was reading. Suzanne, do you think I could connect with another school in another country? Oh, I think that would be so great. I would love to be there with you to do that. That is like one of my, I don't know, passion goals, I guess, is to work with other schools across, globally as well. So anyway, I love that. So it looks like some of you have come up with some really good ideas. Angie said there's a picture book called Naya's Long Walk to pair with Long Walk to Water. Awesome. Great. All right. So we're going to go back to that original activity of your sustainability, the I Spy. Oh, Water Princess. Yeah, that's a good one too. So now you've kind of explored those sustainable development goals. So look around again and just kind of count some things. Are there any new things that you notice? Did you find more items this time? And then in the chat, if you will, name something that you added after looking at those sustainable development goals. Oh, Jill, that is awesome. Suzanne, I'm not sure if you saw that in the chat, to be able to connect you to another group. All right, so I'm going to show you some of the things that I have that connect to the sustainability goals. So one, I have several different books. Bee Dance. Let's see. I have A Chair for My Mother, which I also use in one of the maker spaces as well. Little Turtle and the Changing Sea. This is one of my favorite eye-opening books, The Mess We Made. And hopefully some of you, most of you have probably heard of it, but if you haven't, it's a really good one, and it's about the Great Pacific Garbage Dump. And then One Plastic Bag is another one that I use often. I have my bag that connects to SDG Goal 12, responsible consumption and production. So it is made with paper, bread bags, but it also connects to SDG 14, Life Below Water, because it helps to reduce plastic waste. So even your reusable cup can help to connect to SDG 14, Life Below Water. So there are ways that you can connect that with the students as well. So you can kind of see some items on my desk. The tea or coffee for decent work. Sorry, I keep moving back and forth. I'm trying to find my sticky notes that I made. So decent work and economic growth, reduced inequities. You've got plants for life above or life on land. We talked about books can relate to quality education. And then I have a couple of different kits and my hand sanitizer for good health. So could you use an activity like this even with your students to get them thinking about those sustainability goals?
I really love that you're modeling this, Michelle, that it doesn't have, like, sometimes I think we look at standards and, Kathy brought up the digital learning competencies, for example, and we feel like the onus is on us to do those connections, right? But I think that it's really powerful to kind of have discovery mode. And I know Suzanne was thinking similarly too, right? Like giving that, kind of flipping it. So saying, here's a project maybe to work on. How does this align to the UN sustainability goals? So I think this models a really, really good way of looking at it without it feeling like one more thing I have to align to. That tends to be what a lot of people think. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And on here, how many people led something in their school for a relief for Helene or a community problem even. You know, a lot of times that's one of the hats we wear in the library as well, is kind of being that point of contact or whatever. But what if you have your students take lead on that, you know, and you're there to support them? They're the ones finding the problem, and then they kind of take the lead on it, and you're just there to facilitate them. And I think we're sometimes better at that than others. I think others have a hard time facilitating, but I think we kind of, I don't know, I guess that's just what we do. Maybe we have to, because we do wear so many hats, but that just one of the ways that I would use it is having my students creating an idea around a problem and how that they could solve it. And a lot of times when we think of the sustainability, the SDGs, we think global. And when we think global, we think across the sea somewhere. But Helene proved to us that global is in our backyard. Now we have wildfires, and they're in our backyard. And what ways can our students help, and can we connect? But there are also problems in our communities that we can help solve as well. A clothing drive, a food drive, all of the different things that kids can actually get involved in and lead. So I love all the resources you have. It'd be fun to throw things on a table and see what the kids can come up with, what they can create. Yes, that people consider to be trash. What problems can they solve? I love that. Absolutely. All right. So I am not going through every slide in this presentation, or we would be here for days, because that is not what it's intended to do. So I'm going to make you seasick for just a minute as I go down to the end of our presentation. All right, so strawberries. How many of you have heard of strawberries? Oh, Christy, you work with a local rescue zoo? Oh, that is awesome. K2 students. A lot of times people think that you're K2, oh, they're too young. But Christy right there, she can attest to the fact that K2 is not too young to help. Actually, that's the perfect age to get them involved. Oh yes, Kathy, I love that. Can become advocacy for your library, helping solve community problems with, we'll develop those community partners. Absolutely. And our public libraries really are that as well. They're problem solvers. They have a lot of resources for the community that aren't necessarily books. And that's kind of where we are as well. We all know we have to advocate for our libraries. So Strawbees has some activities. It's 150 challenges revolving around the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And you can pick a challenge from the generator and create something inspired by the prompt. So I'm going to click on it. Can you see the Strawbees site?
Yep,
okay.
We can see it.
All right, so they have the SDG generator and then the guide for play. And then here students could find a challenge and a matching goal and then build something. So it does not have to be Strawbees, which I have at the very back here. But I think Amazon has a set of straws and connectors that you could use, things like that. I do like the Strawbees because they're very supportive, but they're also durable. Like the product itself is durable, but the company is good to work with. So
Michelle, I was going to hop in too, just because I know it doesn't catch in the recording, but Angie called out that a friend of hers made strawbees with recycled cereal boxes and folders and die cuts. And I feel like that's such a good example too of that sustainability side of things, right? Like, what do we already have to create something like this? So just had to put that in there too, because I think that, like you said, there's other places to buy them, but then aligning with what you're talking about, like, what about making some?
And I think they even have a template that you can use to create the connectors on a 3D printer. So if you had a 3D printer, but just even using the challenges to get students working on building and creating around those sustainable development goals. All right. Another one, that I love also is Ford Education's Climate Action Kits. They have a whole climate action library. And I think one kit is like $225, but their team is really good about working with you to find grants and stuff to be able to purchase those climate action kits. But I like what they stand for. They stand for those sustainable development goals. So that's another one that I enjoy working with as well. And then I have created some makerspace signs. I linked the template to those signs for you in case you want them for your library. But one, for a chair for my mother, I do blocks and create a chair that can hold mother. So you could have like a little figure or something like that. Some people have Kiva planks. Some people don't have the funding for Kiva planks. I bought Dollar Tree Jenga. It was $1.25. They're not as big as the Kiva planks, but I mean, the students don't care. What they don't know, they don't know. So that's one way. Another way that you could do it is if you have recycled paper, you could create the chair out of paper, and that chair could hold weight. So yes, Five Below has them as well. And so just different ways that you can buy items that are less expensive if you don't have that funding. I have for goal 1, and I put what goal it was as well as the challenge. One thing I would say for advocacy, because sometimes in the library, when you have maker spaces, people look at it and go, oh, the kids are in there playing, and they don't understand about the learning that's taking place. So one of the things you may want to do is add the standards on the back of your sign. And that way you're showing the standards alignment. Yes, Heather. You're showing that standards alignment, and if anybody asks, you have it. If you're being observed or whatever, you have the standards right there that you're covering through those maker spaces. So the challenge of using duct tape and cardboard, a lot of times we have old boxes and things like that we can use. I do try to do a lot with recycled materials. So the one plastic bag, the challenge for goal 12 is just how many of us have so many plastic bags laying around? Have the students repurpose those plastic bags and create something useful. It's also a good PD that you could do with your staff to get them thinking about that maker mindset as well, and to show them how learning takes place through that, so that they see that it's not just playing in your library, that students are actually learning different standards through this and connecting to global goals as well. Another one I have is for goal 12, students design and construct a Lego device that can like collect trash. Well, Legos are not cheap either. And I always say that the best way to get Legos donated to your library is to ask parents, because the parent that just stepped on one this morning when they were walking through, they're going to donate Legos to your library. So that is one way that you could get those Legos donated. And Julie Carson from Harnett County Schools had created a STEM materials request letter. So that's a good way. It is editable, and when you click on it, it will force you to make a copy. So feel free to use that. She has shared that gladly. And so that's another thing that you can use to collect those materials for STEM and for maker spaces. Plastic bags. The next step could be seeing how students could advocate for a reduction of for reduced use of them in the community. Absolutely. I try to remember to keep reusable bags in my car, and I always kick myself when I forget to put it back in there. So, all right, we are not going to go through all of these because you guys need some time to tell me some things that you have seen as well. But there are lots of resources that you can use with your schools that are already curated for you. So marine debris, the Dan River Project, the EPA has a lot of lessons, tons of virtual field trips. So you can see there is just a wealth of resources here to help you. I love this one, Get Involved, the Lazy Person's Guide to Saving the World. So, that's my favorite. And how you can help your students to become climate action superheroes. So there's just a lot of resources here for you. And then there's other online resources with those book lists that go along with the goals. So I've just overwhelmed you with resources that you can use. And you can also make a copy of this, use it, do what you want with it. Feel free to. It is there for your use. So I only touched on a few of the standards that we covered because I would be here all day trying to tell you what standards we covered. So, like I said, it can seem a little overwhelming, but the purpose was to try and give you a good place to start without you feeling overwhelmed and not knowing where to start to find those resources. So I hope that helps you find something that you can use, that you can take away and use with your students. Any thoughts or questions? What ways are you doing this? Maybe you didn't even know that you were incorporating the SDGs into some of your library lessons. What are some ideas that you guys have? So this is your turn to share. Let's see. Someone had said first Lego League, first robotics team for Legos. Yes. First Book was giving away Legos a few months ago for the cost of shipping. So that, I don't know if they're still doing it, that's what Jill said, but it's worth checking into. Absolutely. Molly said, I've recently shared the global story platforms who had a few newcomers. Yeah, she couldn't find print books in their languages. So that's awesome. That is a game changer. Oh, Angie said they have Play-Doh too. That's awesome. I love Play-Doh. It's one of my favorites. But feel free to unmute as well if you'd like to share anything, any ideas that you guys have. I'm going to stop sharing now. All right, there we go. I think I stopped sharing.
You did. Hey, Jill, tune in. Let us know what you're thinking.
Hey, so not in this school, but in a previous school I worked at, we did a cross-curricular PBL with the global sustainable with the water. And my kiddos did the design thinking, making the shoes, but in math, they measured how long they walked. And in like English social studies, they ended up doing research and reporting. So my point is that with some of these things, it doesn't just have to be in the library. Like it might be a great way to collaborate with teachers as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know sometimes elementary struggles probably more so than others because of time constraints, but yes, I love that.
When Michelle and I were chatting about it, that's exactly what I told her too. I feel like a lot of times, we can pull materials and help create not just the books, right? Like the books is a huge part of it, but also some of those makerspace materials and, kind of connecting the bigger dots, if you will. And then, like you just said, Jill, bring it to a team of teachers, bring it to a grade level. And a lot of times I think that's one of our biggest strengths. And so I love that Michelle was able to curate and talk about so many different ways that we can do that and then bring in that global perspective too, because a lot of our schools or our districts have in their mission statement, right? We're creating global citizens. Well, this is a perfect way to kind of add that language, I think. So I really love this. I think that's a good example too of we're often not seen as math collaborators for some reason. Anyone else feel bold? Want to share? We've had some really good sharing in the chat. And Michelle, I appreciate you kind of pulling it into the conversation too.
Absolutely. There have been some great ideas in the chat, and I love it.
You'll appreciate this, Michelle, since people are being shy. I'm doing a course through the North Carolina Museum of Art right now. Like I'm personally doing it to do some learning. And it is around global perspectives and using art and visual thinking strategies. And at the end of each module, we're asked to look at the UN sustainability goals and so they've walked us through several activities. And then at the very end, we're asked to reflect on one or two of the goals and how did what we learn and what we applied in that learning align to some of it, and then what would we do with students. And so I think that's really cool that it shows up that way, similar to what you've been doing. And so my activity that I did just this week was I created a map of boundaries that are both welcoming and inclusive and things that make you feel left out of a place that you know well. And I did Ocracoke. I know that surprises nobody that knows me. But it was a very different way to look at a place that I know very well, right? Like I felt like it gave me a totally new lens, and I was thinking about life on land, and I was thinking about sustainable communities, and just gives you a really different perspective sometimes when it's like not an afterthought, but it is a reflective tool at the end. So it's showing up even in my own personal professional learning. So it's kind of cool. Yeah. Alicia just dropped some good information in the chat too.
We'll see. An after-school social justice book club in the past, and wanted to bring back something similar. Oh yes, using the SDGs as the framework would make my heart happy anyway. So absolutely, I love that. And I mean, even like all the curated lists for the book clubs, you can even do an SDG book club with your students. I mean, the lists are already curated for you, and you can find some things as well, or go out on a limb and find your own to go along with it. It's funny because once you're introduced to it, you start seeing things all around. So like this morning when I was doing the scavenger hunt stuff, my laptop, for industry and light bulbs, clean energy. So just things that you don't think of before you start learning about the Sustainable Development Goals. I don't know, it has made me think more about what I'm doing and how I can make an impact. And not only just me making an impact, but encouraging others to make an impact as well.
Mm-hmm. That's true to who you are, Michelle. Like I said at the very beginning, you'll get to know Michelle pretty quickly through this, and you'll see when she says that she means it. And Alicia, I think the same thing. Like I really love, similar to what I feel like I'm doing with that art class. Maybe students do read books and then they think about, well, it seems like it would align with the goal 16, which is about social justice and peace and institutions, right? But then getting them to look closely at some of like the subcategories of these, like the one about resilient or the one about sustainable communities is about resilience, and it's also about institutions. And so I could see them making some connections, the different ones. So I think it'd be, you'll have to let us know if you kind of take and run with it, because it'd be really fun to hear how that kind of pans out.
Oh no. Okay. My computer's trying to be weird over here.
We still see you. Don't worry. And Stephanie dropped in that it would be really great with Beta Club. I agree. Those are very active communities as well.
I also like that she put Earth Day in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you didn't introduce it any other time, it would be a great time to introduce it. Earth Day is April 22nd, I believe, if I am not mistaken. So,
and I'm glad you mentioned that, Stephanie. I think that's a perfect way that if it feels really big and overwhelming, Michelle's coming in with a lot of experience now, but it's because of your curiosity and your willingness to learn and think differently, right? Like that's where a lot of Michelle's, expertise with it now is coming from. But I think that's a perfect way to say, like, I'm just going to tackle this to start with Earth Day. It's a good way of doing it. Heather's been unmuted, and I know Heather well enough to see that she is ready to chime in. I love it.
You know me, I tried really hard to sit on my hands and not say anything, but I really feel like I would be remiss not to just jump in here and talk about how all of this is true acts of advocacy. Because, Molly, as we have done the collaborative this year and how we've done some other webinars and talked about advocacy, and that's such a big word, and it scares us so much as school library media folks, and it's to what you guys were just talking about here, it seems so big and massive, and this work is advocacy. Joining in and doing this type of work and bringing in community folks and letting your kids join in for making a change in their world is advocacy. And I just wanted to take a minute to just point that out, because I think sometimes we think advocacy is so much bigger. But by doing this day in, day out, and what you do day in, day out is advocating for the work that school library media folks do, and showing the difference that you make. And so I just wanted to take a minute to remind us of that before you guys wrap it up. And Michelle, thank you for bringing this forward and giving us some phenomenal ideas. And I think Kathy probably wants to piggyback off of that too, but thank you guys for all you do every day, and I can't wait to see some of this. Don't forget to share this work out too, you guys. Send it to Molly. Let us share it from the state level for you. Send it to Molly. Let us share it from the state level for you. Did I say that? And keep on keeping on, y'all. Make the positive so loud that you can't hear the negative. That's my George Couros quote for you. Kathy, go for it.
I was just going to add about the advocacy piece is that it's also sometimes much more productive to have others advocate for your program. Because, of course, everyone expects school librarians to advocate for their students and their programs. But when you do projects like this that create those partnerships with the community and with organizations that have shared values, you know, they're going to value your library, and then they can be the ones who advocate for your programs, or do more of the what we call like loud advocacy.
We lost you at the end there, Kathy.
But she's right. Other people's voices are even bigger and better than ours.
You know what it makes me think of? It's when at the end of Reading Rainbow, but don't take my word for it, right? Like you have to kind of pass it. And I think a lot about, you know, anytime we take, it's word of mouth. It's yes, I want to go to a restaurant because it looks good, but I'm going to check with people who have been there first. So I think of Reading Rainbow. Don't take my word for it. Well, I hate that Kathy got cut off because those were all great points, but.
Me too. And my contact information is there, and I truly mean it when I say if you need help with any of this, contact me, because I am more than willing to sit and help anyone go through this. It doesn't matter whether you're in Johnston County or not. And, you know, I mentioned Jessica Esposito's name earlier, and we worked together to create a lot of resources that went on the original Sea Turtle and then got transferred to this. And she's in the mountains. I'm in the middle of the state. So it does not matter to me where you are. I'm more than willing to help.
Well, thank you, Michelle. We know that you mean it. I'm excited that we have some collaborative members in here who I know are working hard and thinking on some things and some plans, and then some alumni who are here. So like Jill and Suzanne are going to connect. I'm really excited about that. You know, and really like that's what we're here for. That's what we want to do, is connect you with a bigger network of librarians. You're not alone in this work. You have people like Michelle, you have people like me and Heather and Kathy who will always champion your work as well. But if we can also help make connections like this to help you kind of take it and run with it, please don't hesitate to reach out. So I'm really, really excited about this content. Thank you so much, Michelle, for bringing your expertise to it, and for bringing so many good ideas. Like, I think people are like, what? I have so much to do now. It's the end of March. What do you mean I have so much to do? But, you know, hopefully it gets you excited about thinking about the year ahead. So thank you all for being here. I did put the slides are in the chat. The recording will be posted. And it'll also go out in the next newsletter. So know that there's multiple ways to find it if you want to go back for any resources. And then lastly, I put it's a pretty short feedback form, but if you do take a few minutes to let us know, you know, what you thought and what was helpful, I will definitely pass those things on to Michelle, and it will inform the work that we do going forward with some of these webinars. So thank you for taking the time to be here. I'm going to stop recording.